Ladies and gentlemen, this is really interesting, and it's something that most people aren't talking about. I've stated for a long time that President Trump's going to wrestle control of the intelligence community away from the Democratic Party. The intelligence community, just like the Justice Department under Attorney General Loretta Lynch, was not independent. It was an extension of President Obama's administration, which was an extension at the end of his administration of the Democratic Party. You don't utilize a dossier purchased by Clinton and the gossip of an ambassador, an Australian ambassador linked to the Clinton Foundation, and a CrowdStrike third-party tech firm outsourced by Democrats to begin a probe into, how convenient, Donald Trump, who is the direct political rival of all the people who are linked to the evidence used to justify investigations against him. So it was all absurd, and now you have James Comey saying that Loretta Lynch told him to call it a matter, and that Loretta Lynch saying that she never said that to James Comey. And of course you have Andrew McCabe, who's interestingly enough suing the FBI, just like Peter Strzok, even though he lied 3 times under oath, and he leaked information that he wasn't supposed to by blaming Comey for allowing him to do so, but then Comey said, no, I never told you to do that, and by the way, I can testify if they want me to against you. Then you have James Baker, the top FBI legal counsel, is under criminal investigation for leaking. And you have another FBI official that Sarah Carter spoke about who broke the law. And Comey just recently was accused formally by the Inspector General. Well, actually, the IG recommended indictments of Comey, but there's bigger fish to fry for Comey and for others because he's implicated in a much greater, in more criminal acts. But see, if that wasn't confusing enough, the real win or the real victory is the fact that Trump got 2 of James Clapper's, I guess, I don't want to say underlings, but there was James Clapper, who was the director of national intelligence. I guess establishment officials more aligned with Clapper and the Democratic Party than President Trump. Democrats think it's an affront, an abomination to humankind, mankind, that Trump would ever have a loyal cabinet or a loyal administration. They engage. President Obama had not only had a loyal administration. Eric Holder said he was President Obama's wingman. Attorney General Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren. Yeah, right. The original fake news story. 2 or 3 days before Peter Strzok interviewed Hillary Clinton. And then Peter Strzok set up Michael Flynn. But the issue here is that you have Dan Coates and Sue Gordon. These are the two people after James Clapper. The Director of National Intelligence is privy to all the other intelligence agencies. So he's able to synthesize, he's given the information compiled by all the other intelligence agencies. So the Office of Director of National Intelligence, when it was Clapper, was able to go to Brennan, Comey, and at that point Rogers, and say, give me all the information regarding Trump or Russia and how they hacked the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated. So he went to those 3 agencies and said, give me all of that information. I will then compile the ODNI report, the Office of Director of National Intelligence. That report, in addition to the Department of Homeland Security report, are the 2 intelligence reports that were utilized to set up and frame Trump. And, well, they serve as the basis of the setup. So these reports come with warranty disclaimers. The Department of Homeland Security comes with a warranty disclaimer on the first page, The ODNI report, the Office of Director of National Intelligence report, comes with a warranty disclaimer, like on page, like the end of the report. They state categorically the United States government is not certain. The United States government is only highly confident, and that judgments are based on fragmented information that is oftentimes incomplete, and all of this legal jargon that basically says don't sue the intelligence community if anything we say leads to people suffering. They are not certain about anything, whether Russian Facebook ads were purchased at the behest of Putin, whether the DNC was even hacked. They're not certain. They can't be certain because they didn't inspect DNC servers. And you have articles from Vice and from Daily Beast and others saying, ridiculous theory by Trump. They didn't have to look at the DNC servers. They got a pristine copy from CrowdStrike. Well, how do you know? CrowdStrike was outsourced by the Democratic Party. So how on earth do you know it was a pristine copy? The reason all of this is important is because Dan Coates and Sue Gordon are the number one and number two. These are the people at the most important intelligence agency, because it's that intelligence agency is able to synthesize all the information from the other intelligence agencies and summarize, I guess. And so if you have a loyalist or someone loyal to Trump, that person will be better suited to give an overall bird's eye view and a view in aggregate of how they set up and frame Trump. John Ratcliffe, who knows exactly why he withdrew his nomination, but there was something that they acted a bit quickly, whatever. There's an acting Director of National Intelligence right now, but once President Trump finds his Director of National Intelligence, that person will be confirmed through the Senate, but he's not going to make the same mistake he made with Dan Coates, which was find an establishment person to just repeat that, Russia, it's disinformation. The intelligence community and the Democratic Party obviously think the average American is a gullible, easily manipulated, weak-minded fool. Because they can't, it's like, the other countries are going to manipulate you. Well, we have the internet, we have books, we have libraries, we have libraries, and we have books, and you can do your own research. And Americans are, despite what Democrats think of them, really intelligent people, and we're able to decipher whether something is real or false, real or just fabricated. And generally will vote based on our core ideals, which are generally not influenced by media or other countries or any outside influences. People vote based on what is important to them. What is important to them precedes or takes place prior to the latest Democratic Party or Republican Party propaganda. So if you have somebody who's pro-life, they're going to vote for the Republican. It doesn't matter how many Facebook ads they see. If you have a Democrat, whatever, pro-choice, doesn't matter if they see Facebook ads or, the DNC alleged hack is interesting because it actually points to Democratic Party corruption. So what they've done is inoculate themselves by saying that Russia informed the country that they were corrupt. And then they just pontificate about, our democracy was being attacked. Well, no, you're the one who assaulted your own primary. But it's actually a real big victory for President Trump because Dan Coates, it is bizarre, told Sue Gordon, according to CNN and other reports, to resign with him. Or something to that effect that, said that you should probably resign because I'm leaving. But you have the top two establishment figures there. So now you get it's almost like you get a new head coach that's more loyal to you know what it's like? Well, okay, it's like a new head coach more loyal to the owner than the other head coach. And this new head coach gets a staff that he wants. So the new attorney general, the new director of national intelligence, wouldn't have to deal with Sue Gordon, who worked for Dan Coates. Dan Coates was an establishment pick, just like Christopher Wray after Comey. So after Trump wins again, he's going to replace Christopher Wray. Probably going to happen after the election. And once that takes place, that'll be John Durham and everyone, William Barr, everyone who's being investigated. That investigation will take more of a fast track to people getting indicted. That's why, Strzok and McCabe want to sue the FBI. They just want to stall. They don't have... Peter Strzok was kicked off of the Mueller probe because he engaged in he basically spilled the beans. Yeah, we're trying to get Trump. We will stop Trump. That's what he said. That's exactly what he said, and that's exactly what he tried to do. And so he was fired because he was biased, and you cannot have... the reputation of these agencies is complete tatters, shatters. They're in the toilet. These agencies are laughed at now by the average American because of the corrupt officials, not because of the people who work there, that many of whom are very courageous and all that. But everyone knows that these agencies were politicized and utilized to harm Trump. And it's just going to be very good for President Trump when he has somebody who isn't an establishment figure, who isn't going to just defend something that's indefensible, which was setting up and framing the president. So James Clapper was a huge part of all of this. James Clapper, I write in the Federalist, one of my Federalist articles, James Clapper was the guy who said, oh yeah, we have no evidence that Trump colluded with Russia, like a month before the special counsel. A month before the special counsel. He stated that a month before the special counsel. And he stated that to Chuck Todd. And they still went, and they still investigated Trump. Even though there was no evidence. So if you have no evidence, why would you continue to utilize a dossier, and not only that, to utilize that CrowdStrike? Just the fact that the dossier and CrowdStrike were linked, and I explained this in my article that was shared by Rush Limbaugh, just the fact that the dossier and CrowdStrike were utilized to investigate Trump, and those were linked to Clinton. I explained this in the article, my Federalist article that was shared by Rush Limbaugh. That alone should have prevented any investigations of Trump. Because if the reverse were true, if the tables were turned, they would never, wouldn't stand for it. Democrats and media wouldn't stand for it. So that's the issue. James Clapper was one of the key central figures in all of this, because he was able to look at Brennan, whatever nonsense Brennan had, and Comey, whatever nonsense he had, and say, well, I've looked at everything, and I'm going to synthesize and summarize this in the Office of Director of National Intelligence report. Once Trump has his own person, and the number one and number two there that took over after Clapper, because those people were part of Trump's administration from early on. And in 2017, when he first became president, he did not have a foothold on the White House or his cabinet or his administration. He was reeling, and he was on the defensive from day one. They didn't give him a moment to breathe. And they never treated him like a president. So then they say, well, he doesn't act like a president. Well, you never treated him like a president. You didn't give him the respect you give every other president. And they say, well, he didn't deserve it. Look, the same nonsense that took place before. I don't understand how they think, because they had the Russia probe up until now. That completely imploded on them. That was another failure, just like Clinton 2016, and Clinton 2020 will be another failure. She's running again. She literally, and Sky News just brought that up. She literally just stated, yeah, I'm going to keep my options open. And everyone's like, God, she already said she wasn't running. It's like, well, no, she didn't say that. But, look, bottom line, Clapper is out. Dan Coates is out. The number 2 under Dan Coates, Sue Gordon, is out. He got 2 resignations from the ODNI. He's going to then fill this position with somebody who is loyal, just like President Obama had loyal intelligence officials, just like President Bush had dangerously loyal intelligence officials. And when you look at Bush and Obama, how is the Middle East after both of those presidents? Okay, President Trump wants to bring home Americans from Afghanistan. Great thing. See, Democrats don't care about that. They care about whether their DNC is hacked and whether people know how corrupt they are. They don't want other countries to inform Americans about how corrupt they are. That's how they phrase it. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. By the way, check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. I talk about the demise of a really bad person, and a Washington Post article, describing that. It's kind of a hilarious segment. So check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. Read my writing in the Jerusalem Post and the Federalist. Thank you so very, very much.